afternoon and welcome to the Parliamentary Pavilion. It is day 12 and today the final negotiations are taking place just across the COP site from us here. We're going to focus in this session on something which has suddenly burst onto the scene, AI. We used to be talking about the fourth industrial revolution, and in the last year and a half everybody's been talking about AI. Is it a threat? Are there opportunities in particular for addressing the challenges of climate change? So we thought, what better but to have a dialogue specifically on this issue. We're delighted also that the company that we've invited is also sponsoring this pavilion. And I'd like to introduce our keynote speaker will be Dr. Hind Saleh, who is the Chief Operating Officer at AI Robotics. And your full title, of course, Hind, is Entrepreneurship and Innovation Ecosystem Builder. You have a lot of experience in the field, so without further ado, I'd like to invite you to share your expertise with us. Thank you.
All right. So first, thank you very much for the invitation and for introduction. So my name is Dr. Hind Saleh. I'm entrepreneurial innovation ecosystem builder. I work more specifically on at the education sector and more particularly on the higher education. So we do work on what we call the model of entrepreneurial university, which extend the role of the universities beyond a role of institution of research or education to an institution of innovation as a source of solutions for the climate change. And here where the artificial intelligence come as a key mechanism or as key technology to advance and to accelerate this third mission of university, which is being a source of solutions for the major problems of the globe and most particularly the climate change issues. So this is what we do, and we use the ecosystem approach to sustain the strategy of universities that are playing this third mission of being innovative or source of solution. And that's why I would like here to address the role of universities and education institutions, not only universities, but also since the early age. So we'll be speaking about childhood, and how to prepare the future generation to be aware, to be conscious, and to be responsible of this, bringing solutions and convert it into a business model that can really create value in the local and international markets. So this is how, yeah, so I think there is the video or... So for just brief about AI robotics, it's you will see the video, and after I can explain about what we do there.
At AI Robotics, innovation is our driving force. We invest heavily in research to shape the future. At AI Robotics, innovation is our driving force. We invest heavily in research to shape the future. Our expertise is based on cutting-edge artificial intelligence, intelligent robots to take the world to new heights of intelligence. As a committed company, we actively work to minimize our impact on the environment. Thanks to our robots, we are reducing our carbon footprint, contributing to a transition towards a more sustainable approach. We push the boundaries of high technology. Our robots transform industries and open up new perspectives. Proud of our French origins, we hold high the banner of French know-how. AI robotics, at the heart of innovation, serving the future. Join us at COP28 and discover how we're shaping a greener, smarter future.
Yes, okay, so thank you for showcased in the video. So as you could see, AI Robotics is a company. I'm managing the operation of this company, and what we do particularly is we implement the artificial intelligence as a key technology to advance the optimization of use of energy in buildings, joining the context of smart cities that's happening currently. For example, we implement tools that can really help buildings to have some very short cut of power that can optimize and avoid cutting the generator of and updating the generator of electricity. So technically, this is something that really helps saving a lot of energy and optimizing the use of energy for the tenant of these buildings. What we also do is we are working on a new project now with the scientist who is the inventor of the lithium battery, which we all have in our phones, to build. This is the future reversionary project we're working on, to build a universal charger that can detect the level of charge of each battery, either phone or car or laptop or whatever, and allow the best charging that can save the battery and make it sustainable, and also not only save it but also charge in the fastest time. This is a new invention we're working with the University of Nanjing in Singapore. We have now intellectual properties, and we are at the process of commercialization of this technology for what we call NLV, non-linear voltage, that help optimizing the lifetime of batteries, lithium batteries, and also charges in the quickest way, which will ultimately allow people to adopt more electric vehicles, because one of the biggest challenge of electric vehicles is that no one has 2 or 3 hours to wait for his car to charge. So we are working on a revolutionary concept to minimize the charging time of a car to 10 minutes maximum. So which would be the time you go to a charging station, you put your car, and you go have grab coffee or a snack and come back where your car is already charged. So which will make it exactly the same concept as oil charging stations, and which will, as we said, encourage people to adopt the EV cars, because one of the biggest challenges is the time of charging of these cars. So we work on this. Another project we are prepared for the COP28 is what we call a TOD robot. I just So the TOD robot is a robot we developed for farmers that can detect or prevent the anomalies in plants and inform farmers to either treat this plant and give it the medicines, or just remove it so that they can plant more in a more healthy and sustainable way. So this is our latest invention, I would say, and also we work in the health tech industry by creating robots that can accompany either elder people in elderly houses, and also people who are suffering from restricted the mobility, that they can allow them to do some operational things in their house by taking medicine, bringing water or food or something like this. So yeah, so this is what we do at AI Robotic, and more to link it to the topic of today. We work a lot with universities, and that's what makes me, as Chief Operating Officer, I'm a specialist of entrepreneurial universities. So the role I'm playing here is to bridge the gap between the future generations of students that are studying in universities and these new technologies. So we allow students from early age while they are studying to have internship in our companies, to also work on project, on consulting projects and technical projects that can really prepare them to be aware and to contribute to the climate change through this artificial intelligence technologies we are commercializing in our company. So thank you. Happy to have your questions and to answer it.
Yeah, definitely. So what I would like to do is to invite you please to sit down here. We have our next speaker.
Sure.
I'm going to invite her to come here and just let me leave this here actually.
Yeah, thank you so much for giving us. It was a really interesting introduction to the work that you're doing, both in terms of the way in which you are encouraging entrepreneurialism in universities, innovation and entrepreneurialism, as well as the very specific applications that you're looking at. I'm going to invite our next speaker, who's going to be reflecting on what you've said. I think many of us have some questions, but I'm going to hold mine in store. Unfortunately, we are running against time here, so I would invite you, Marieme Jam, Lady Marieme Jam, of course, who is an AI specialist, also an expert on climate change, and the founder and CEO of I Am the Code. Your initial reaction to what you've heard so far, please either take it from there or here.
I think it's amazing. Nice to meet you. I think it's really amazing. You know, absolutely right that we need to include university students. So I just got a couple of slides I wanted to show to just back what she said. And I think that including young people into the whole AI conversation is really important. And so I Am the Code is a foundation. It's based in the UK, and I'm one of the founders. I'm the founder. And the goal for I Am the Code is to teach 1 million women and girls how to code by the year 2030. And so one of the things we found on the AI conversation is that we don't have people who actually have the skills at the moment. And so we are really trying to get young women and girls and boys as well to be part of the global conversation. I think one of the biggest challenge I will say is that finding people from university students but also finding young women and girls to get into the STEM industry. So that's one of the things we're working on. We have 55,000 girls into our program. They're all coders, they're all AI specialists now. We also work in refugee camps. I've got just a couple of slides. I don't know if you want to pass through the slides. So we have young women and girls we work with right now in refugee camps. So one of the goals we have in line with the Sustainable Development Goals is to get 1 million women and girls to learn how to code. So, many in Africa, for example, we don't have many young people who understand AI modeling, for example. Universities don't have teachers. At the moment, the whole AI conversation is very heavy in Africa, for example, in the Middle East and here as well. But we don't have many specialists. So what we're trying to do is to get really a bigger conversation on skills and job creation. And so next slide. And so those are the girls we work with. They are all over the world. We're now in 80 countries. But mainly they are refugees in Kenya and in Jordan and Lebanon. Next slide. So I just want to show you that, for example, to really respond to the AI conversation and climate change here at COP, one of the things we wanted to do is to bring the conversation on skills. Who are the young, who are the next generation, of AI specialists, for example, which is a big problem. We have a lot of curriculums and a lot of content going around the world. Everybody's using ChatGPT right now. But when it comes to having people who have really AI skills in universities, is very low at the moment. Even have teachers who understand what we're talking about is very low. So we then design our own curriculum. We have a platform with 45,000 courses. The courses are free in partnership with many companies across the world, French companies, UK companies, who are now going across the world giving these courses to young people, where you can, for them to work for AI robotics, for example, they really need to have the skills, right? They need to have the skills for you to hire them. So we're trying to focus on that, and then also make the content very specific. Next slide. Make it specific on exactly what we're looking for, like deforestation, for example. Many people don't talk about it. Recycling. Next slide. What is recycling, really going down to in details of what AI can do on climate change modeling, for example, on adaptation and mitigation. rather than just having the conversation around AI at the largest level, we want to go granularly to explain, what we're doing as an organization, because this is a big problem. Many people are telling me, I love AI, I love climate change, I want to understand what's going on, but we just don't want them to become activists on climate change, but we want them to become climate change specialists in tomorrow, where they can combine AI and climate change. Next slide. And so those are the girls who are right now coding in a refugee camp. They understand AI. So we have an academy in a refugee camp. It's the first ever academy launched in the world in a refugee camp, where young women and girls are learning how to code. They're also developing some AI modeling. Next slide. And so those are girls from Congo. So these girls have lived, they are refugees. They've lived the refugee crisis. They understand. They're from Congo, they're from South Sudan, they're from Somalia, they're from Burundi. They're from the war zone countries where climate change is actually affecting them daily. If you look into extractives in Africa, for example, big issues which are going to create a lot of war in the future. And so we're trying to get these young women to understand the situation and build a solution around them. Next slide. And so our academy now have over 700 girls. By 2024, they're gonna start working for companies, so you can start hiring them from the refugee camp and they can work. So it's the first ever academy open in a refugee camp setting in the world, teaching young women and girls climate change issues, AI issues. So the girls, for example, are planting trees. They want to have robotics. For example, we went to work with SoftBank in Japan. They gave them Pepper, who's now in the camp. So the girls are really understanding what robotics are, what AI is, so they're working on that. Next slide. And so that's where we are. So I'll stop here just in case you have any questions, but the point I'm trying to make is that it's amazing to have an organization like yours, but what we need to think about is who's gonna be working for you in the future. Are we inclusive enough? Can we bring content in universities, and in communities, in refugee camps, in places where smart young boys and girls can actually work for you in the future? The AI conversation should not be a bubble for us in the West who just have the opportunities. We also need to touch indigenous people, many, many young boys and girls who are smart right now, who should be part of the conversation. So that's my job.
So thank you very much, Mariame. And of course, you are at different ends of the value chain with regard to AI, of course. So here, when you started, you really focused on the work that you're doing in the tertiary sector, in higher education, yeah? And so the work that you're doing is on addressing the supply, yeah, especially those people who are coming from much more disadvantaged backgrounds. So if I can come back to you, speak a little bit more about your own journey. I mean, it's quite interesting that we have both of you who are women, who are leaders in this sector. I know that from personal experience that there is a huge degree of interest amongst girls in particular. My own daughter is studying robotics at university. She's looking precisely for the kind of thing that you're offering in terms of what is the career development pathway for somebody who is passionate about coding and sees it as a language to open up innovation and practical application to address climate challenges for their future. So what was your journey? And if you can elaborate a little bit more on your ambitions for your company.
Okay, so first, thank you for. I really like the concept you are working on, which is much more inclusive than what we do. But we need both to build this holistic approach for integrating AI in favor to the climate change and by involving youth and children's. Kids from the early age. So my journey, just to say that I'm also from Africa. I'm originally from Morocco, born and raised, and I studied engineering, IT engineering. So it was the French system. So this is something called the preparatory classes, class préparatoire. Then I went to Paris, to France, to study IT coding at this time. Then I had the chance to travel a lot, so I went to San Francisco in California for a master in IT management and marketing. Then I finished the master. Then I moved to China to work in the e-commerce sector by developing e-commerce websites at this time. Then I moved to Dubai to start working in startup, and all this journey I've been working in startups in the IT and AI sector. So I've been observing different kind of ecosystem, not only the Silicon Valley, but also the French, the China, Dubai, Africa. And I was also always wondering how can we bring this to Africa, to our region, because there is talents, I mean, plenty of talents, plenty of youth. It's the most rich region in the world in terms of youth and potential, but it's still not moving. What's happening? What is the reason? So when I was here in Dubai, I came 2012, I worked in a startup, and then I worked in a bank, and then I decided to build my own startup, so to become entrepreneur with all this experience and network and those people. And I failed in the beginning because although you have the talent, the knowledge, and everything, but you don't have the mindset. And this is something I figured this out. I was an IT engineer. When it comes to technical thing or task, I do it perfectly. But when it comes to developing the business, interacting, networking, and all those what we call soft skills, I did not have this at all. So I decided to sell back my shares in the company I created here, and I went back to school. I invested in an MBA program. It's one of the most it was the biggest investment. I mean, I put all my money on this on this MBA just to shape my mindset and to change perspective and to be able to think as a business developer, because it's two different perspectives that unfortunately our education system in Africa and Middle East does not allow us to unlock this potential. So I did this MBA. It was in the south of France, in Nice. It's EDEC Business School. I think it's one of the well-ranked programs. And I ended up building a startup, co-founding a startup called Opcure. It was incubated at Station F in Paris. Is the largest startup incubator in the world. This Opcure was basically a matching platform, matching IT students and the young talents in Africa and Middle East with startups from all over the world to find. So for the startups, for the students, we give them access to pool of to the market of job market remotely, and for the startup we are giving access to world class talent, IT talent, and we're operating as third trust party. So it was going very well and everything. And we were like over impressed by the quality of talent and knowledge and skills, technical skills that the students and the young are having in Africa. However, when it comes to soft skills, to communicating with the clients, to agility, to being flexible with, because at the end of the day we're working with startups, so they require a lot of agility, a lot of flexibility. It did not work. So this brings me back to reflect how can we resolve. So for me, I had this problem. So it brings me back to the same issue I had when I had my startup here. Okay, I resolved it by investing in an MBA, but not everybody can do this. So what can be the solution? So this brings me back to school again to start this doctorate thesis about what's happening in the education system in Africa and Middle East and how can we resolve it. So I went back to still south of France. So I went to the International University of Monaco, and I studied. I bring this managerial problem of why in Africa and Middle East we cannot convert knowledge, talents to innovation, to added value in the market. So over the 3 years of the doctorate, I ended up in defending the thesis called How to Build New Model of Universities that can convert knowledge to innovation with an ecosystem approach in the African and Middle East. And this is what brings me, I came back to Dubai and I built an institute called the Opcure Entrepreneurial Institute, where we are specializing in building an ecosystem of innovation in universities by connecting them to by building 6 pillars: the knowledge, so modules to teach in entrepreneurship in a non-traditional way. It's not a board. I will show you. It's more by involving them. We also build the pillar of support or accompagnement. It's like incubating them to move from the idea to the business model. Then we build the model of the pillar of funding. So how they can fund their project, or maybe sometimes they don't need funding, they just need to work out their business model and ended up having clients, and they can be autonomous. I always say to my students, the best fundraising you can do is the money of your clients, because this is what makes you call yourself you have a business. Even if you have business model, as long as you don't have a client who's paying you, you still don't have a business. So it's easy. This is how, for me, this is the definition of having a business. The fourth pillar is access to markets. So here where it's important to connect with IR, robotics, and corporates that can allow them to connect to the markets and be able to sell their product in markets. Fifth pillar is the regulation. So we train them and we put them aware of regulation, how to build their, what status they can operate with is status of, they have to have trade license, or they have to be a status of student entrepreneur, freelancer, whatever, depending on the level of their project. And the sixth pillar is the culture of entrepreneurial culture and mindset. And here where we interfere by organizing conferences, hackathons, boot camps, everything that's really nurture the entrepreneurial mindset and make entrepreneurship and innovation something natural, may make also taking risks and thinking out of the box something natural and not a shame. Because in our culture in the African Middle East, it's almost a shame to do something different than the other. No matter, you have to stick to the rule, what is known, what is traditionally adopted. But we try to let them go more out of their comfort zone, which is recognized by societies and of course by protecting them within the university ecosystem. So so this is what we do, and that's I don't know if.
Well, I think it's very complementary, isn't it? So you're creating that ecosystem, which sitting here in 2023, it's a shame it didn't happen 20 years ago. Yeah, because I think that we would have had a whole generation which is now surging with interest to provide the science and tech solutions to the challenges that we're discussing here. But never mind, I mean, you're doing what you are now. Mariam, of course, if you want to respond to where you see that fit, I see a really, really nice fit between the work that you're doing to enable enterprise development, the business development, all of that. So from what you're doing in terms of bringing in the supply side of it, how would you accelerate? I mean, if you were to think of working together, how could you accelerate the transition to a real change in the academic institutions, in the culture, in the mindset?
I mean, I think what she's doing is really amazing. But if you think about Africa, where we are right now as a continent, 15 years ago, we wouldn't even talk about this, or 20 years ago. And I remember my company bringing Google in Africa. So the first event we did, it was in Senegal. The first 1,000 Africans that have Gmail addresses came to my event in Dakar. And so I remember, ripping up the university, having all the Google colors on there. And so I think right now as a continent, we have 648 tech hubs from Morocco to Senegal. So the tech in Africa is really developed. And we are actually looking into India, looking into other countries across the world. In Kenya alone, we invented M-Pesa, mobile money. So Africa, we have innovation, amazing innovation across the continent. But I think one of the things we didn't have, to your point, is that the cultural norms, and also we didn't have a content. Content is very expensive. If you want to go right now in Senegal, my country, to learn robotics, either you go to a French school, or if your parents don't have any money, then you have to find out online how to do that. And so what we did during COVID-19 is that to respond to the need of content, if I'm a young girl growing up in Kisumu today, I want to learn robotics, where do I go? That was a big problem, right? And so sometimes we take things for granted, thinking that robotics is available to everybody. It's not. And so that's why we created I Am the Code platform, where we have 45,000 courses, where you can go right now, sitting in Marrakesh, you can go and learn how to code for free. And then it'll be able to work for you. So, when you and I were growing up, we didn't have content. And people don't invest in content, right? They don't invest into platforms. So that's why we are right now in an intersection where we really need to think about who's inventing the content, where is the content is coming from, where are the courses are coming from, because one course costs $9,000. So if you are a girl growing up in a community, in a slum in Kenya or in Nigeria, or somewhere in Mumbai, and you are very smart in mathematics and want to get into STEM subjects, but where do you go to learn? And so I think we need to think about that part of inclusion and diversity. At the same time, universities need to allow scholarship and sponsorship. where we allow these young women to come and boys to learn robotics, because tomorrow she will need people to work for her. But we can't just have wealthy young people from private schools sitting down and learning and or having access to content. That's one thing. I mean, the other thing we should really think about is the power skills. You can become a coder, you can become a business person, but if you don't have the power skills, nobody will hire you. How do you communicate? How do you work with people? And the soft skills. How do you have empathy, compassion, and kindness? So what the I Am the Code platform has done is the first one in the world, and Africa, we're very proud of it, because you can now go and learn how to code 7 coding languages. So I'm a full stack developer. I didn't go to university. I didn't have expensive education or go to big universities. I learned how to code in my kitchen in Guildford in Surrey. When I came to the UK, I was a cleaner. I was cleaning white people's houses. Today I'm a full stack developer. I sit down and building models for big companies. I get paid for that. And so, I'm the clear testimony that if you give a young person a space, give them content, give them connections and platforms like this, the person can actually evolve, right? And so I think we also need to think about inclusion in a way that the people who will be building the AI models for tomorrow is not just the wealthy young people who have a private education in big universities. This can happen in a slum in Senegal or in Kenya or favelas in Brazil. It can happen anywhere, because as long as you understand mathematics and science, but you also are very smart, very determined, very perseverant, I think you can do it. And I think finally, the soft skills are really important. Being able to communicate with people, being able to work with people. As a coder, if you're very shy and you don't say anything to people, you don't interact with people, you're not going to get a job. But what I said to tech companies across the world is open your doors. Open your doors to young people. Open your doors to refugees. Open your doors to black people. Open your doors to Indian people. Open your doors to people who are different to you. Don't be scared, because you'll find out that my young girls are really good in maths. They're very, very good in mathematics. And some of the girls in the UK, they're not even good at maths. So I think that as an ecosystem, it is our duty to think about the supply, but in a very diverse way, very inclusive way, allow young people, boys and girls, who are different from us, to have a seat at the table, to come and work for you at AI Robotics. And I think that in the future, you'll benefit from that.
Indeed.
Because the world
Indeed.
needs people who have skills.
Absolutely. I think that point is very well made. And I think that what you were saying earlier, that you are very receptive to that's part of your business model. I just want to link it back, and we literally have a couple of minutes to finish this session. I want to link it back to the UN Convention. So why we're here at COP28? Because there's a great deal of emphasis on education. So we have a major group within the UN system, which brings research institutes and educators together. We have a special mandate from the Paris Agreement called ACE, which is the Action for Climate Education and Empowerment on that. So it's within that context that, we thought it's important to invite yourselves and the way that we also work on climate education. But if you can help us bring this to a close, please, Hind, which is, I asked you earlier about your ambition, and you laid it out very clearly in terms of the development of the business, enabling young people to enter into the field and support their incubation of new businesses, etc. But if you can just give us a glimpse into the future that you are trying to promote here by being at COP28, of the solutions that AI can actually bring beyond the couple that you mentioned. So a little bit more on that, and then I'm sorry, but we'll need to bring it to a close.
Okay, no problem. So bringing it to the legal context, and as you said, the Paris Agreement had made it clear that climate change education is a must and is key to resolve these challenges. There is also this new regulations that are being adopted for adopting AI as a solution, as a technology that can advance and accelerate this climate change education decisions. And what we do is to accompany this new thinking exactly, and this new reflection and direction of government, because there is a level of consciousness on multiple from the policy makers to the coders who are, from top to bottom up and top down. So this put us really in in a context that really where AI robotics can play a key role by collaborating with organizations like the Code to really have like inclusive approach and be able to include not only students of kids of rich people that have the enough money to go to universities and to pay tuitions to other people that they cannot afford this. And what we do as in building this model of because with AI robotic, the project we are building is a hub of excellence that which will be an ecosystem including universities, research centers, coding institutions like that can include also the people who cannot afford the university studies, to really build this ecosystem that can create this environment propitious for innovation, growth, and entrepreneurship, and value creation on a long term. Not only by producing one or two startups, we want something that can be nurtured in our mindset, and this is where the ecosystem approach comes as a holistic approach that can sustain the development of such new thinking and new way of resolving climate change issues through AI. So this is, I don't know if I answered
No,
your
it's a good
question.
place to end. I think the reason that we brought the two of you together is because you represent the formal sector, you represent the informal sector, and the two really need to work in complementarity.
Exactly,
So
yes.
you've both, you've both expressed it so well. But on that note, thank you so much for the work that you're doing. We're delighted to have brought you together. So please, I hope you have business cards to exchange.
Of course, yeah.
And to all of those who are joining us here in person and online, thank you very much for staying with us.